Yeah, hi Fiona.
Hi Eric, how are you? All right?
I'm very well, thank you.
Good, yeah.
Fiona, we're just on this call today really just to sort of share a little bit of your background regarding, what you've achieved over the last number of weeks regarding the Coach Me Slim and Trim program.
Yeah.
And I thought maybe if we just start off talking a little bit about, just to find out what your background is really, just so that the listeners can find out, your background a little bit.
A little bit about me.
Your career and,
My career. Okay. Well, the most part of what I do, I'm a business trainer, so I travel around quite a lot, going to see clients in various parts of the world, and I spend an awful lot of time sitting down at my desk as well. I've got an office in a spare room at home,
yeah.
so I guess what's relevant is I spend a lot of time sitting down, cars, planes, and desks. Where I seem to be most of the time. And yeah, I really like the work, but it can be quite stressful, and it's very deadline driven, as you can probably appreciate. So.
Sure. And would you mind sharing us your age, telling us your age? Would you mind telling us that?
No, I don't mind at all. I'm quite proud, 44.
Good, okay. And really, your weight, what was your starting weight, Fiona, at the start of the program?
Yeah. When you first met me, I was 13 stone, 10 pounds, which is just about as heavy as I've ever been, really.
Right, okay.
Yeah.
And prior to sort of starting, what were your sort of main barriers, you think, to starting on a weight loss program? What did you perceive as the main barriers?
Oh, gosh. That's quite an interesting question. Well, I think, mainly my lifestyle, obviously, because I'm traveling an awful lot. It's very difficult to kind of be in control of the things that are put in front of you in terms of meal times. I spend a lot of time in hotels at various venues and things like that. So meal times are definitely out of your control. And in terms of getting exercise in, that type of thing, that also was quite difficult because you never quite know where you're going to be and what kind of facilities are there, and have you taken your kit with you, and but that's an excuse really, because my mindset wasn't there to just kind of organise these things a bit better. So my mindset contributed a bit as well, because I think as well I'd been overweight for a long time. So probably, when I say long time, I'm thinking probably 15 years.
Right.
So I've been at that weight for a long, long time.
Okay.
So I think you get into a habit of thinking that that's just the way. I mean, people will say it to you, your relatives will say it to you. That's just the way you are. You've always been like that.
Yeah. Sure.
So you get into that headset where you start believing that's just the way you are.
Yeah.
Sure.
Could I ask, what was it that actually made you then decide? So with all that sort of history of 15 years of being told that's the way it is, what was it that made you, finally want to decide to lose weight and become healthier and fitter? What was it that sort of tipped the scales for you?
Something happened. Yeah, I don't know whether you have a bit of a midlife crisis, I suppose. Maybe I've heard that thing that happens sometimes. I just suddenly thought, gosh, time's running out. I'm 44. I'm not feeling very energetic. I feel quite tired. I've got a bit of arthritis, and that's really getting worse. What am I going to be like if I carry on like this? What am I going to be like 10 years from now? I'll still be working. I still want to do what I'm doing because I really love what I'm doing. It's very rewarding. But what am I going to be like 10 years from now if I don't change anything? It's just going to be. It's going to be quite depressing, to be honest. I didn't feel good about myself. I didn't feel positive about myself, really. And I just thought, how much better would it be if I could feel much more energetic and happier about my self-esteem?
Yeah.
It was a big part of it,
Right. So self-esteem was a big thing for you, yeah?
Yeah, definitely.
Okay, and, prior to starting on the Coach Me Slim and Trim program, what sort of, because what I found in the past is people that come to us often have tried many different things before coming to us.
Yeah.
What sort of things had you tried in the past before doing the Coach Me Slim and Trim program?
Yes. I can remember going to Weight Watchers many years ago. I went to Weight Watchers. That was quite good. That worked actually for a bit. I lost probably almost a stone. stopped going to Weight Watchers and put the weight back on again.
Right, okay.
So, you know, and that just makes you even more depressed because you've tried something and it hasn't really worked. So a couple of years ago I joined a gym. Used to go to the gym quite reasonably regularly.
Yeah.
But I found that kind of they do your induction program and then they leave you to get on with it. And I never actually sort of spoke to anyone at the gym. You were just left completely on your own to get on with it, really.
Sure.
And I didn't because I was travelling and away from home a lot. I
Yeah.
couldn't get to the gym.
Mm-hmm.
So I've tried both those things, and neither of them really worked.
Okay, and so what was it then that eventually made you to decide to choose the Coach Me Slim and Trim program? So with all that background, what was it that sort of made you choose the program, you think?
Well, I kind of must have woken up one morning and thought, that's enough. I've had enough. I've got to change the situation now. And I when I sat down and thought about what I needed to do, so I knew the gym wasn't working, I thought, what have I got to do? I've got to have something that will address everything. My mindset, my motivation was a real key issue, my eating habits and exercise.